Lightning talk today. Let me start recording myself, or let me start timing myself so I don't go over. Okay, so my lightning talk today is on this really cool program I found called Voxel.js. To kind of understand what it is, first I want to talk about some other things. I want to talk about JavaScript, Node, and NPM. JavaScript is really cool. It's a programming language that used to be kind of a joke because all it did was make web pages do stupid things like, well, Blink was HTML, but JavaScript did other stupid things like make things like change color at one point, and so it's kind of a joke. But recently, it's been recognized as having like really simple syntax and being really flexible. And so people have really caught on and started to really expand upon what the language could do. And Node is one of those expansions. Node is actually a C program, C being a very fast, heavy-duty, hardcore programming language that helps JavaScript files run by themselves. So historically, JavaScript was a part of a web page. You couldn't have JavaScript doing things with your file system. You couldn't have JavaScript doing much other than changing the color of a background or something, the background of a web page. But now Node kind of helps free JavaScript to be run and actually modify tons of things, like be a more traditional programming language, maybe like Java, more similar to that, where you can like move files around and things of that nature. So you get to use the nice, elegant JavaScript syntax and have the power and flexibility of JavaScript, but now it can do things like Java can, is sort of a way to understand it. And Node helps that happen. And NPM is a package manager, and I don't know if everyone's familiar with what a package manager is, but what you'll find typically in projects is you'll find that you'll have libraries that you're using to help have things run, have your code run properly and quickly. But it's really a pain in the butt to keep track of where all these libraries came from, especially like, for example, if like a library updates, like people are constantly, coding all day, and so a new version of a library will come out, and you have to either not use that new version or go manually download it off the internet. And so a package manager as a concept is really nice because it keeps track of all that stuff for you. So it keeps track of your libraries, where they are, and how to download them. And NPM is just a package manager for Node. So it really simply, kind of a diagram to think about how all this is working, is you have like a file, a JavaScript file, that's what a file.js is, and you have this really nice, elegant syntax for JavaScript. And that JavaScript file can kind of tell Node what to do, and Node can kind of tell it what to do. So you have this interaction between Node and these JavaScript files. And then NPM and Node interact with each other too. NPM being a package manager for Node, if you want to extend Node to have more functionality than the authors of Node had planned for, then NPM you can go and download modules that modify Node, which in turn modifies your JavaScript files, or vice versa. And so how NPM, you can kind of see on the right here, NPM through the internet can go and download libraries. So it can keep track of things not on your computer. So there's like, NPM has a huge index of like thousands and thousands of libraries that you can use to augment your code all on the internet in various places. And NPM can go and download them so that you can use them. And it keeps track of where to download them from. So if like an author goes and like changes his website one day, you're not totally left in the cold. NPM knows where it is. If, of course the author has to update NPM, but. So kind of thinking back to Voxel.js, so kind of what is Voxel.js? Voxel.js is a JavaScript program that uses Node. Voxel.js it helps you write in-browser fully featured games. So you can kind of think the end product is you're going to go to a web page at some point and just have a game running. One of the things that Voxel.js is, it's also called like Minecraft.js is another nickname for it, because the authors were trying to create Minecraft in your browser. And it works. It's really cool. You just like go to a web page and then all of a sudden you're playing Minecraft. It's really cool. But kind of how it works from kind of a programmatic point when you're actually developing this, because they've released this code so that anyone can use it to develop any game they want. Not just Minecraft, you can remake any game or make new games yourself. And kind of a way to understand how this is all working is NPM, as the package manager, uses the internet to go download Voxel.js. Well, Voxel.js itself is a series of packages. And so Voxel.js goes and downloads, or like if you want to have certain modules from Voxel.js, like Voxel Hello World is a module of Voxel.js, which itself is made up of other modules. So if that kind of makes sense. So you have this like really abstract thing. So like when you're going to make this like your game, you're going to use Voxel.js. But which part of Voxel.js? And then you can go from there. So, so it's just basically you have modules within modules within modules. So it's a really flexible video game engine in a sentence. So kind of what that looks like. I've began to use it, and so I've gone through the intro to Voxel.js tutorial. So kind of the payoff, I guess, if none of that really made sense, this is the payoff. You use NPM. So what that looks like is you have a folder. I'm in my Voxel.js folder. And you create a package.json, which is really just telling this program, NPM, this package manager, hey, I'm going to tell you to do some stuff. You tell it to the packages you want. I wanted was Voxel Hello World, which is a Voxel.js package. And this thing, Browserify. Browserify is really just a nice little tool to help make the compiling of Voxel Hello World easier, and I'll show you what that means. So you go and download this, and you tell NPM, hey, go download Voxel Hello World, and it goes and does that. Then the next thing you have to do is create this really nice JavaScript file that's only 2 lines of code. And it's almost like you can just read it right off the screen. You create a variable called createGame. You require, which you're telling NPM, hey, I need, or you're telling Node to tell NPM, hey, I need this module you already downloaded. Another variable, game, hey, create the game using this module. And then you just put this JavaScript file in an HTML file. So if you've never seen that before, it's pretty standard. You just have an HTML file that uses a JavaScript file. And then you use this tool called Browserify. I've done a trick to make it so that I don't have to kind of do Browserify myself. I have a script that will call Browserify for me. But Browserify basically goes and compiles your Voxel.js game. And so while I've only done this much, right, I have maybe like 20 lines of code, 14 lines of code total. Browserify, after it's done running, will go and execute the module and create thousands of lines of code all for me. And this is all contained in this Voxel Hello World module, which is itself made up of thousands of modules, which itself are made up of hundreds of modules. So it's like you have, it would be crazy to do this all yourself or to go and get these modules all yourself, but so that's kind of the power of all of this, is that the modules kind of compound on themselves, so you don't have to do this. Browserify will go and compile it all for you. So it's pretty cool. I mean, this seriously goes on for tens of thousands of lines of code. But the payoff is Browserify also has this thing that it'll spawn a little web server for you. So what that kind of looks like is, so if I want to go play the game, that's really what we're trying to get here. It's a game engine. I'm trying to play games. On localhost 6969, you can see down here my web server loading up. It's loading up index.html, which in turn loads the index.js, which in turn is using that built, that built game.js, which is that tens of thousands lines of code thing. So pretty fast for 10,000 lines of code. It compiled pretty quickly. It'd probably get faster if I messed with it more. But in the end of the day, this is like the basic game world that you have, and you can run around. And if anyone goes to this web page, you can just like play this game, all in your browser. Nothing. You don't have to download anything. You just hit a web page, and it's sort of Minecraft-y. But what's really nice about it is that while this is like simple and untextured, it's already got, I think you can kind of see it's kind of lit right there. So it's got like all this stuff. It's got a lighting system, it's got like geometry, it's got collision up and down, I'm jumping, it's crazy. I can even fly at one point, what the heck? It's crazy. It's like a fully built game, ready to go in like 14 lines of code, and it's super extendable. So if I wanted to add, I don't know, other things like a third-person camera or something, I could create my own module that I could use in my own game and then share it with the rest of the world so they could then use my module, really simply. And something, hopefully what turns out to be, for someone else, 2 lines of code, or whatever, to have a third-person camera, or whatever. And so that's really the power, and that's something that I've been really excited to play with, because it really makes, because I've been playing a lot of Minecraft recently, and to modify, like to make Minecraft add-ons is a huge pain in the butt. because it was never built to do this, but this is built from the ground up to be extendable. So you have like everything is like really modularized, and so it's really extendable, flexible. So that's what I've been playing with recently. Thank you.